Welcome to Life Mosaic, where we explore the living legacy that connects the generations for a lifetime and beyond. Here, life is all inclusive, embracing every moment and memory that shapes us who we are. We're not just sharing people's stories, we're celebrating the timeless bond that weaves our lives together, transcending time and space. Join us as we uncover the beautiful mosaic of life.
Welcome to the very first episode of the brand new podcast, Life Mosaic. Some of you may have listened to our preview episode, and we're grateful to have you back. The preview episode is still available on all major platforms and at our website, lifemosaic.me. You will learn more about Wheezy and myself during this and future episodes. We want to tell real stories about real people doing interesting things and adding colorful bits of mosaic to enhance their lives and the lives of others. I'm all about audio as a radio host, and Wheezy is all about video, helping folks like me that are camera shy. Isn't that right, Wheezy?
Yes, I'm slowly pulling you out of that shell there, Rich. I call him my turtle because he retreats his little head back every time I tell him that we need to do video. But I do have to say, I am so excited today to finally pull the trigger of doing this podcast. I have done a lot of video, but this podcast and doing the recordings this way, it's only been a few times that I've been on other people's podcast as a guest. So really, this is a new world for me.
And the podcast is new to me too, because even though I've done radio, I've not done a podcast. So this is new to both of us. We hope you will enjoy it as we go along. One thing we're going to do every week is have a meme of the week. And Wheezy and I send these memes and Instagram reels to each other every day. We fill each other's inboxes every day, don't we, Wheezy?
Yes, my day just wouldn't be complete if we didn't exchange one or more memes per day. I see these memes and reels and instantly think of you, Rich. The Snoopy meme with the whole peanut gang is the one that we're highlighting today.
Today we have the Peanuts walking together with a caption that says, "Good friends care for each other, close friends understand each other, but true friends stay together beyond words, beyond distance, beyond time." And that has been so true of our nearly 15-year friendship. Wheezy and I used to live close to each other, but I moved to Savannah in 2017. Over the years, we have maintained our friendship and helped each other out remotely. And thanks to Zoom and technology, we can bring this podcast to you with Wheezy being in Charlotte and me being in Savannah.
You know, Rich, I hear you talk about being in Savannah, and I know that you've talked about being in radio, but just how did you become involved in radio?
Well, the funny thing is, I never thought I would be involved in radio. As Wheezy knows, I like to be in the background, just doing what needs to be done to move a production forward. I'm a tech nerd and prefer the company of my cats, as you know, Wheezy. But
Yes, and what's the name of your kitty cats?
I've got Shauna, the big orange tabby cat, and her sister Henrietta, that is gray striped, and one is a good sweet baby, and the other one gets into a little bit of mischief. But I love them both, maybe
Aw,
maybe
little,
equally.
little angels and devils of kitty cat world.
Yes, and they're very spoiled. They got a new little cat house, like an upstairs and a downstairs. So one can be downstairs now, and one can be upstairs.
Aw, how
Good.
sweet. The little kitty condo.
Little kitty condo. But anyway, what started me in radio is the church I was attending at the time in Savannah in 2018 already had a broadcast on WRUU, the community radio station here in Savannah. So I took over the editing, and it was really funny because the lady that was doing it before me even recorded in advance. All we really said, other than the church service, was at the beginning we told the folks what church it was and when the episode was recorded or the service was recorded, and then at the end we would say a little conclusion. And I was so scared. I knew I could do the editing and get it to the station, but I told her, I said, "Would you record some of those in advance for me?" So finally, I ran out of her pre-recordings, and I'm like, I'm just gonna have to be the one that does the intro and outro to the show. So I did start recording that, and then I continued to make relationships with the folks at the radio station, and they really needed some new hosts, some new programs. So I came up with a show and enjoyed doing that, and realized that I don't get in my turtle shell as much when it's just audio. For some reason, being in front of a camera or speaking to a crowd makes me nervous, but recording audio does not. So, like I said, I started my first show on WRUU. I left for a little while to work on those mobile apps. One I really had a lot of fun on, but its parent company closed it down. I tried a similar app and found it did not provide the hosts with the tools needed to gain an audience, like the previous app had. So that led me right back to WRUU, where they were grateful and welcomed me back in with open arms. Community radio is just that. It's a group of like-minded folks who live in and around the community, helping each other out. We have a lot of fun too, and even though I was reluctant at first, I can't imagine not having a show now. It is just so much fun, and I enjoy it greatly. Wheezy, tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Well, I did not grow up in the South. I was a little farm girl. And as a rule, as I was living in this world of farmer's daughter, it was a fantasy of a small town girl that I never believed life involving video was even possible. So this one night, my husband and I were out on the deck, and he hands me a challenge because I had been whining about how I didn't have a higher education and I was in my mid 40s and feeling very insecure. He had the audacity to say this to me. I could have smacked him because he wasn't going to let me allow me to stay in my victimhood. He said these two words, change it. I I was aghast for words, but you know what I did? I went ahead and I made that life-changing course, and that's when I returned to school and I learned how to be part of the video universe. I found out through the school catalog that I could study video and graphic design. So that's where it all started. So throughout the years, I've been in video, and as a video producer, I've always worked to help others make videos. And during the years, I've enjoyed hearing the stories of others and their conquest, them telling me their why, they're sharing their how to's, how comes. They have told me why they do what they do to be successful in their life and their business. And now I want to share some of these stories with you.
So you went from Little House on the Prairie to studying video. Why did you choose in that long catalog at the college? What made you focus in on video?
Well, it didn't actually start with video. I didn't know the video program was there. I had been an interior decorative painter, and I would go in people's homes and paint murals and faux finishes. This was around 2007. So, a lot of you know at that time, the real estate market crashed and people were losing their homes and jobs. My people couldn't pay me
Okay.
because they were losing their homes. That hence was why I was whining the one night on the deck with my husband. So I decided that I was ready to take my art form in a different direction. Graphic designs was becoming bigger, more everyday user friendly. I wanted to learn how to do Photoshop and all of those cool tools. So I went back to school for the graphic design program.
Okay, and that
And the
makes a lot of sense because we actually did it backwards. The program, if you want to go 2 years to get an associate degree, you have to do graphic design and teleproduction. So you
Mhm,
did graphic design first, then found out that you could do teleproduction. And I did the
exactly.
opposite. I did teleproduction first and then did graphic design, but it gave us the same degree. We just
It
did it.
gave us the same degree a lot, and that's how I found out about it because there was quite a few people in my class that took the same route you did. They did the video program first and then the graphic design,
Yeah.
and I loved it. It was like 2 years of I call it kindergarten college because you basically went to one room and, were with the same people all the time.
It was a lot of fun, and other than the required classes that you had to take, I took a couple of communication classes and one math and that sort of thing. The actual classes we took for our course were like that. You were with the same people, you were doing projects, and it was a whole lot of fun. That's really a neat story, Wheezy. And now we're going to, speaking of stories, we're going to go into a story that involves both of us making a short film. So you want to kick that off?
One of the first things we learned in video was to work as a team. I was always a producer. In every project, I was always a producer. So I've been out of school for a little while. This is me retelling the reaction when I get my first short film script that I get to run the show. Yay! I am ready. I am getting ready. I'm getting the chance to run the whole project. I just got the green light from the screenwriter. In mere weeks, we're going to make our first short independent film. So, where should I start? Well, first, I'll call on some of those film people I already know. Let me see who's done this before. But I need to back up. Before I start any of this, I need to make a list of everything that I need and want. And that includes who is my crew and who's going to be in the cast. To make this production work, let's start on crew first, and then I'll move over to the cast. You see, for the last 2 years, I've played around in the indie film industry, just doing local work. It was fun and exciting, but I needed to pull this together. And I know 2 people right off the bat I can contact for the crew. Guys I went to school with and that I trust, and I know they have good visions and they will have my back. So I contacted one of my classmates whom I went to school with, and the second call was to Rich, whom I had met at his graduation. We had been through the same program at our school, and he went a year later than me. And this is how I got to know him. I knew after talking with Rich in depth, I knew right away Rich was a good person to have on my production team. He's eager to help in any way, jump in and do what is asked of him. If he has equipment to help pull this project together, he was willing to share and he was on it. He just wants to see our project be successful. But Rich, was this truly our first contact?
Well, first of all, how much do I need to pay you for saying all those nice things about me?
A ton, a ton.
All
I've
right.
got some big bills coming up.
Just put it on my tab. Well, like
Uh,
you said, our first contact would have been at my graduation, but yes, I think this was the very first time we teamed up to do a project together. I had never made a film before. We had an option in our third and final trimester under the video production course to either do a short film or try to get an internship. And I was lucky to get an internship at one of the Charlotte TV stations in the master control department. I do wish I could have done both because I would have liked the experience of making a short film. I went in just wanting to help, like you said, any way I could. I had some equipment. My car was even used in the project. Basically, I just became the boom mic holder. And when we talk about a boom, we are talking about a digital recorder taped to a pole with electrical tape. So, you know, Wheezy, we were really first class on this project.
oh man, we sure were. Gosh, there was a lot of that. As growing up on a farm, there was a lot of things that we put together with duct tape and baler twine, and we had a lot of that on this set. So, but just to give our listeners a scenario of what this movie was about that we were embarking on, the movie was about a guy who was killed in an airplane crash or a jet crash, however you want to say it. The crash happened in a suburban area, and this young teenage boy was very intrigued by what was left behind in the debris of this plane crash. And he was told by his parents, do not go near that plane crash site. You could get hurt, you have no reason to be there, you could get in trouble. It could be like trespassing. So, it was kind of like a, Stand By Me, if you ever watched the movie Stand By Me, which was, based on a Stephen King noveletta.
Yeah, one of my
So
favorite films of all time.
yes. So it had a lot of that intrigue and feel like that to this film, and that is what drew me to want to do this film because I love that movie. But, the parents have told him not to go near the crash site, but teenagers, when you tell them no, what are they going to do? He went to this crash site, had fun with a couple of neighbor kids, of finding this suitcase of a man who died in the airplane crash. So he takes the suitcase and he takes it home. His parents find out and he's in trouble. To ensue a mystery of learning more about the man and returning his items to his family members that he left behind was the boy's mission. So it's a movie of discovery, mystery, betrayal, and twists and turns. When things go wrong in life, debris is what's left behind. Some things that are revealed about him, leaving behind the debris of life to his wife and daughter, and the twist, his mistress. Also, the discovery for the family that picked up the suitcase left behind find some of their own debris in their own lives.
This is getting more drama than a General Hospital episode.
I know, and you know how I like General Hospital. So the movie itself is not a true story. If I wanted to do this project, I should not have picked it up as an indie film because if we wanted to put it into festivals, it didn't really fit.
It was like an hour long, wasn't it?
Yeah, and for short films, they need to be like 15, 20 minutes. Some as short as 3 to 5 minutes. There's lots of categories. But you'd be surprised how many film festivals there are for indie films. So already we were playing behind the 8 ball. But at this time of my life, I allowed people to have more authority over me because of my insecurities. I would play up to other people. So I was just going along and agreeing with everybody and letting them do what they needed to do and going, "Oh yeah, you can do this. Okay, go ahead and you go ahead and do that." And there was one lady I had met and I gave her permission to cast the people. So she went ahead and put out notices on different message boards online and stuff to get people to send in their reels to get them to come and be part of the cast of the movie or to fill in some of the gaps for the crew. We needed, like, makeup people and different things like that. So, I mean, we pulled out all the stops for this movie. It was a bare bones crew, but we had hit all the highlighted spots that we needed. So, the guy who did makeup, he did makeup and wardrobe and different things like that. Now, you have to remember, these people were doing this for free. And when you're asking for free, it doesn't always mean the best thing. We have to have true passion, and we pulled this project together in about 3 weeks. And just so you know, here's Rich. He's on the crew, and he's seeing a lot. All the little infighting with the guys who I have as the director and the cinematographer, which are basically it's just basically the guys with the camera who can make the shots look pretty. And if you know anything about film, it is a hurry up, get it done, and then wait type scenario. You have to wait because when you go to set the shot, there might be some things that come out on the camera once in a while because if you know anything about the camera, you open that up and it becomes like a mirror and everything is magnified of what's wrong with your scene. So you're trying to shoot things and you see everything around that can cause issues with the film and it stops everything. How many times did we have to do that, Rich?
Well, we definitely, it seemed at times we had three, maybe four directors. There was
Mhm.
the actual director who thought he was Steven Spielberg. But I don't think Steven Spielberg will work for free. The director of cinematographer, he was a good guy, but they had a lot of, what would you say?
Creative differences?
Creative differences. We had the writer of the book that would sometimes come in And even a fourth director at times was that drama queen actor dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Way too many opinions. And the funny thing is, most of the time, I have to give it to the cinematographer. He had better ideas than the actual director. And every now and again, he would win out, and the director would use his idea.
Yeah, do you remember when they were doing that bedroom scene? It was, the married couple of the boy who found the suitcase, and there's a bedroom scene, and they're having a discussion about their own relationship after they had read this letter that was found in the suitcase that they thought was for the wife, but it was actually for the mistress. And he was giving his profound love to this woman. But anyways, so it's in the middle of the afternoon. If you remember, Rich, it was super hot. It was super hot outside, so
Oh,
we were
yeah.
glad to be inside. We didn't want to be outside. Here it is. It's in the middle of a hot afternoon while we're shooting, but we had to make it look like nighttime. So we get them all settled in bed. We get the windows all taped up with black paper so it darkens the room and get the mood lighting just so. And lo and behold, outside, 2 doors down, the neighbors have a pool and everybody's in it and it's loud.
It
And at
was.
those times, these recorders, these digital recorders for audio picked up
Oh, yeah.
every
Everything.
noise for like what miles around?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And it was supposed to be a late night conversation between the husband and the wife. When
All
everyone's
hush
asleep,
hush and
all hush hush and all of that, and you hear kids and people outside just having a wonderful, wonderful time in the pool. So yeah, I don't think at midnight there would have been many people in that pool.
not unless there was a big party, but anyway, so we had to send somebody out to go to that neighbor's house and ask them to be quiet. But, after you've done all this work and you're ready to go, and it's like one of the last scenes that we have to do. So we're like, by this time, this is like day 3, and we're kind of all on each other's nerves. It's like, let's wrap this up. We're done. Um, and then to run into something like that, that is a good example of you hurry up and wait.
And I just remember that our window coverings were black trash bags and a lot of duct tape.
Yeah. So, like I said, we used a lot of baler twine duct tape tactics, to get this job done. But, during this time, we had been filming things at my house or somebody else's house in the surrounding areas in which I live here in the small town in South Carolina. And so we had a lot of work, and, thank goodness Rich was there to help. So, as we're talking about all of this, part of my job is I have to keep the crew and the directors in line. And as Rich alluded, we did have this one special actor. He really wanted to run this movie. He would point out this person's mistake, and we do a retake, and people like this. But at the time, because I'm new, my insecurities are running a little bit high, and people aren't really given, let's just say, let's put a few asterisk marks in there, and and you can fill in the blanks. But anyways, we have the divas. So we have this guy, and then the lady who's playing his wife, and then we have divas in the crew, and they're all just a little crazy. But, it's just so funny, Rich, these people, they're all volunteers, and, nobody's getting paid. But I had there was one lady, if you remember the woman who played the man's wife, she was quite the diva. She thought she was quite the grande dame, and she just was from a neighboring city, little town that was like 20 minutes away. But she enjoyed the acting and she enjoyed the independent films. So she was willing to come and put herself into the spotlight. And then some of the other people were extras and they would throw themselves in as extras to fill in the background. And I mean, it was great fun, but there's always a lot of stress and my insecurities ran high and I was trying to appease everybody. So it just kind of made it hard. But needless to say, in all of this chaos, I learned a lot. I learned who I needed to be. And the biggest thing throughout this, I learned that. I needed to trust in myself with these projects and whom I could trust. And after this movie, I did do a few more projects after this, and it was really interesting to see everything come alive. And so it did fulfill part of my fantasy of being part of a production team. It didn't matter at that time if we were paid or not, but we got to follow our desires. Everybody on that crew and cast got to fulfill a little fantasy of being part of this. And I think Rich and I were the only ones that have really come through after all these years that we're still connected.
Yeah.
So to this day, because things go on, people come and people go through your life and we move on. But Rich and I are the only ones still connected after all of these people that we have been
Yeah.
through our production lives. Rich, look at us. Here we are. We're fulfilling the things that we want to do. And here you are doing your radio show at WRUU. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like?
I truly love being a radio host, and like I said earlier, it's something I never thought I would do. Other than having most of my family local now, it's the next best thing that has happened since my move to Savannah in 2017. And guess what, podcast listeners? You can also listen to me anywhere you have internet or a mobile device because WRUU, that's WRUU, live streams every show on the website. At 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, you can hear my 90s Vibes show, some of the best 90s music that will bring back great memories if you lived through that decade on WRUU.org. I also have a show on Sunday at noon Eastern, Songs of Worship, where I play both traditional and contemporary worship music. So maybe you're a lover of the 90s, maybe you're a lover of worship music, maybe you would like both. So hopefully you'll tune in to both shows there on WRUU. You do need to tune in live because our radio show's license does not allow us to make music shows available on demand. So set a reminder and remember 90s Vibes, 6 p.m. on Tuesday Eastern Time, Songs of Worship noon Eastern, both on WRUU.org.
That's great, Rich. That sounds fantastic, and I know your shows are great because you have great taste in music, and you're so particular on how you put things together, like this podcast. But, you know, thinking about you fulfilling your fantasy of being able to be part of the radio, I fulfill part of my fantasy being able to be part of a video crew. I just want to give a little wrap up of how that movie, what happened after we shot the movie. So we did have, we had some fun with the editing because that guy wanted to be, the greatest editor in the world, and he got a little gun shy. Things just don't fall into place the way we think they ought to fall in place, the way we have them in our head, and the actuality is just different. But the good thing was is he was able to put together this movie, and I was able to distribute the film to everybody. But I have to laugh because the actor who thought he was Mr. Director ended up being the most over the top actor. He overacted in almost every scene. And it just caused me and several other people to just kind of giggle. He put in a good performance, but it was just kind of over the top. And to be honest, I probably would have never even submitted that film mostly because of that. So
Was he
um
like Lucy on I Love Lucy when she tried to do all those productions?
yes. Yes. But still, would I have done it again? Well, as I already told you, I did many more little vignettes like that over the years, and I always had great fun, but because it was free, it was always hard to pull together people, so I just kinda let that go and have gone into what I'm doing now. But Rich, after this experience, would you do a short film again?
I would not do a short film again and have not done a short film. I was better suited in the broadcast studio as a technical director And that's just the person that tells the camera and crew what they're supposed to do and presses the buttons on the mixing board. So yeah, that's a whole different situation. That's in a nice air conditioned broadcast station like your local TV station, or even on a project that is not free but has the ability to have that kind of equipment. So yeah, I would not do a indie kind of short film, but I would enjoy doing something in a studio. So the bottom line, Wheezy, is you're really good at helping people tell their stories. And even though you might have been a little insecure on that first project, I noticed in working on some of your business projects that you're really good at getting people comfortable and able to share what they're trying to get across on the screen.
You know, Rich, I really do like helping other people tell their stories, their the highlights of their life so that they are remembered for who they are and a real essence of who they are and what they did. I want to give people inspiration to become an overcomer. It's like, sometimes you've been a little shy in your turtle shell, and I've had to kind of coax you out and go, come on, you can do this. And that's how I love to work with people. So, if you would like to tell some of your stories to leave with your loved ones for generations to come, you can go over to livinglegacywithweezy.com and see how I can guide people in telling their stories, just like I helped the screenwriter make this movie.
I think in a way you've answered this, but Wheezy, would you make a short film again?
Well, as I ponder that, honestly, I don't think I would. But I have to say that everything I have done from that time to what I do now has been a great learning opportunity. I don't think I would probably do make a short film that that would be of interest to most people because what I know of the short film genre doesn't really line up with what's going on in the trending festivals right now because I love to help people tell their stories, giving stories of inspiration, sharing things that they have overcome. Or, the other side of me, I love to do things that are just totally silly that, how life can kind of turn us on our heads.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do with the podcast. And I think it's a lot of what Wheezy and I do as well with our various projects. When I'm on the radio, especially the 90s show, I really want to entertain people. I want people to be able to escape from whatever they're doing. If their day is not going well, music helps make your mood better. And that's what I
Yeah.
enjoy doing. I enjoy trying to help people just take that hour, whether they're listening at 107.5 or on the web stream, and just enjoy some good music and some fun. I think that's what we both do. I think we're trying with the podcast and with our projects, we're trying to inspire people, but also just help, like you said, do silly things that can help turn people's mood in the right direction.
Yeah, give them 30 minutes or more of just, getting away from what they were might be thinking about in life. So everybody, that's really our show for today. So thanks for joining us for today's episode. Please like, subscribe, and share to this podcast. And you can follow us on these social handles. Rich, how can people find you?
I can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter, at Rich on the Air. That's all one word, Rich on the Air, and it's the same on all three platforms. Wheezy, how can folks find you?
Well, like you, Rich, I can be easily found with my handle LLW Wheezy. That's WEEZY on Facebook, Instagram, and formerly Twitter.
And that stands for your business, Living Legacies with Wheezy. So that's
Correct.
LLW Wheezy on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Thank you for tuning in to our premiere episode of Life Mosaic. Go to our website, lifemosaic.me. That's lifemosaic.me to sign up to be notified of future podcast episodes when they will air. Also, we have show notes on the website where we recap our episodes and show off photographs that give you visuals to go along with our episodes. We also will have more ways for you to connect with us soon.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.